Before we meet the commissioners, we're going to welcome our first Changemaker of the conference. I believe there are 12 of them here for the week, or for the 3 days, and we're going to learn about some of the changes in the media landscape. So, our Changemaker is called Beth Reekles, and in 2010 she started posting her writing online. At 17, she achieved a 3-book deal with Random House for her young adult fiction, and is now, at 19, sorry, we don't normally mention people's ages, but I'm sorry, Beth, an established author who writes under the heavy disguise of her pen name, Beth Reekles. She's going to kindly talk about her journey from writing anonymously online to being listed as a Time magazine most inspirational teen in 2013. So, please welcome Beth Reekles.
You hear a lot of horror stories about the internet and about people sharing their work and getting stolen and things like that. But without the internet, I wouldn't have succeeded. When I was 15, I made the decision to start posting a book I was writing online to this story-sharing platform, Wattpad, where people can post books and then you can read them for free. And since then, I've had a 3-book deal with Penguin Random House. I've had a movie deal for my first novel sold to Comics, and I believe there are some of the ladies here from Comics today. And I've had a novella published with Accent Press. So, I mean, you're probably wondering, quite rightly, how I went from being 15, writing after school, not telling anyone about it, to being dubbed by The Guardian as the Dickens of the iPad generation, which I have to say I did prefer to one of the newspapers that called me, 50 Shades of Youth, because my book was a bit risque. So I'll go right back to the start. Now, when I've always been a bookworm, and when I was little, I really liked writing stories in school, and then I'd sort of carry on writing them at home. And when I was 11, starting comprehensive school, my parents gave me an old laptop. They said it was for homework. I ended up using it to write books. And my parents had no idea. I mean, they'd come in my room and I'd slam my laptop shut, or I'd change the window. They just thought I was on Facebook talking to my friends or something. But that was when my passion for writing really started, when I got this laptop. And I was very, very protective of it. Like I said, I would sort of slam it shut when my parents came in the room, because writing can be a really solitary thing. It's very personal. You put a lot of yourself into your work. And, I mean, it might sound silly now in hindsight, but I used to be really embarrassed about my writing. Because, I mean, let's face it, young people, we are incredibly self-conscious. We're afraid to try new things sometimes, whether it's because we're worried that people will laugh at us, or they'll talk about us behind our backs, or maybe just because we think we'll fail. And, that was how I felt, and I didn't really know anyone else who liked to write, so I thought it was a weird hobby, which is why I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my friends, my parents, and I never took myself or my writing seriously either. It was just a hobby, something I did, because it was a bit of fun. It was just nonsense, I thought. But this is where things really started changing. I was at the bus stop one day, this is in 2010, so I was about 15. And a friend starts telling me about this book she's reading. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a great book. What's it called? I'll go home and Amazon it later. And she was like, well, it's not actually a published book. And she explained to me that it was this girl just writing it and posting it online for people to read for free, to Wattpad. So, of course, I go home later, I look at Wattpad, find this book, start reading. But I find that Wattpad is this massive community of other people just like me, mostly teenagers, just writing and putting it out there for people to see. And, for the first time, I realised that I wasn't alone in that. Like I said, I had no confidence in my writing. And I remember when I wrote my first novel, The Kissing Booth, I wrote it because I was looking for something to read. And at that point, like, Twilight was in all the bestseller spots, so sort of everything that was available that was a young adult romance had werewolves or fallen angels or vampires or something like that, which I liked, but it got to a point where I just thought, I want a regular high school romance. And I couldn't find that, so I decided to write my own. I mean, it sounds really easy, and in a way it was. I just knew the kind of story I wanted to read, I knew the characters I wanted to read about. And I'd always enjoyed reading, I'd liked writing, so I thought, well, I'll just write the sort of book I want to read. And then I made the decision to start posting it onto Wattpad. And that was totally terrifying at first because, like I said, I'd never shared my work with anybody. And there I was putting out there for total strangers to see. But the thing was, if strangers read my book, it was because it appealed to them. And they weren't saying that they liked it just because they were my friends and they were being polite. They were saying they liked it because they really did. And that was what really appealed to me about this community online. And I could be as anonymous as I wanted to. So, I just I put up some kind of little avatar in my profile picture. I called myself Reekles, and that was all people knew about me. I was just Reekles. They didn't know me. I think they assumed I was a girl from my writing, but they had no idea, where I was from, how old I was, anything like that. And, at first it was just a couple of comments, a couple of reads, and eventually it started building and building. I remember one point I woke up after posting a chapter one evening with a really horrible cliffhanger, and I had like 300-400 emails in my inbox that were just comments on the story like, OMG, where is the next chapter? Upload now, please. And, that was the point where I sort of realised, maybe I'm actually kind of good at this. People are enjoying what I'm writing. And that was when I realised maybe I wasn't wasting my time with it. And for the first time, I really felt validated in what I was doing. And as my book got more and more popular online, in the end it accumulated over 19 million reads, which is like really bizarre. And, I still can't get my head around that number, if I'm honest. I gained more confidence in real life. I know that might sound a bit silly to say that an online popularity was able to make me more confident and more sure of myself in real life, but it's true. I started owning up to what I liked. I started saying to people, hey, I'm writing a book and I'm posting it online and it's actually kind of popular. And then I started saying, and actually I know I said I like that music, but I really don't. I like this stuff instead. And I'm really into these movies. And oh my God, I just love Doctor Who. And, I was given the opportunity, essentially, to be confident in myself. And you have to understand that was a huge thing for me. I mean, I'm a slightly introverted person. I was quite shy. I had no confidence at all in, anything I was doing when I was 15. And I cannot stress to you enough how important that feeling of community and acceptance are, not just for me when I was 15 and posting on Wattpad, but for young people in general. Whether it's writing or music related, some Sherlock fan art or a vlog journal, whatever it is, the internet is an incredibly powerful tool for you to be able to express your passion and to find other people who share that and support you. And I think sometimes the older generations don't necessarily recognise that. They think, oh, they're just on YouTube again, they're wasting their time, they're just doing something frivolous. But we're really not. We're creating, we're sharing content, we're building audiences, we're, joining in this great sense of community that there is. And the opportunity to be yourself and put your work out there online is what's allowing young people today to not just be dreamers, but be doers. Thanks.